A strategy session is scheduled with our office, and it is a one-on-one meeting with an attorney where you go and discuss all of the issues in your case. So you should be prepared to tell the attorney what your assets and liabilities are, what your concerns are, what your goals are. And what'll happen is in that meeting, we will go from top to bottom discussing the possible outcomes for your case, the issues in your case, and how best to deal with them. Sometimes we'll run the child support numbers if we have the numbers available. Sometimes we'll talk about potential alimony outcomes, how much you would pay, how much you would get in alimony, if you get alimony at all. We'll talk about the best way to divide up your assets and liabilities. And in that strategy session, we take all of the questions that you might have, plus all of the questions that we have for you, and we develop a way forward, a strategy forward that would be efficient and that would accomplish the goal that you want to accomplish. Once you've had a strategy session with an attorney, you would hire the firm, you'd enter into a retainer agreement with the law firm, and we would begin working on the case, file a notice of appearance, file your petition for divorce, file whatever action it is that you need to bring in the family court. And from there, it could be the process of organizing discovery, financial documents, or it could be the planning of sending subpoenas. It could be discussions about depositions, or we could start the case with a draft of a marital settlement agreement. Some people come into the divorce process knowing already how they want to divide everything up, but they just need the guidance of an attorney to file the paperwork, to deliver the paperwork to the court, to finalize the divorce. So sometimes we just draft a marital settlement agreement for folks, do their mandatory discovery, and have them divorced. It's imperative that you strategize in a divorce. There are a lot of moving parts. There are assets and liabilities, businesses, children, emotional issues. There are non-marital assets, premarital assets. It's so important that in a strategy session, all of those things are identified and discussed because there's a lot of moving parts and every part of the divorce is intertwined. And so if you don't sit down, develop a plan of attack for each issue in the case, you could end up on a really mixed path to nowhere. But when you strategize about a divorce, it really gives everyone an opportunity to know where we're going and how we're going to get there. There are things you can't plan for in a divorce, like every situation, but the idea is that you know what you want the ultimate outcome to be and that the law firm knows that, so that every step we take is to adjust to that goal. And sometimes we have to adjust for different outcomes, and sometimes we have to be ready for different situations. But if we've strategized and we know the goals and we know the plan, there should be little deviation from that throughout the process. When you're going through a divorce, you want it to cause as little damage as possible. You want it to go as quickly as possible. You want it to be as inexpensive as possible, and you want your outcome to be achieved. And so in that strategy session, we go through those things top to bottom so that you know what's going to happen, we know what's going to happen, and your ultimate outcome can be achieved.